Every day, there's a battle for your mind raging. Information coming from every angle with the will to deceive. Fear not. You found the place for truth. The voice of a generation that still has the will to believe in the greatest country in the history of the world. This is the Charlie Kirk Show. Buckle up. Here we go.
All right. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. My name's Andrew Kolvet, executive producer of this fine show. Honored to be with you all. I am back in Phoenix after a weekend away in Palm Beach. However, Blake Neff is still in West Palm, so he's joining us remote. Hey, Blake.
Howdy, Andrew. Good to see you. It was we had a great weekend here.
We had an amazing weekend. I got to give so many kudos and props to the Turning Point team, the galas. This was Charlie's Super Bowl weekend. He loved it. It was probably the most hyped you would see Charlie, except for maybe AmFest or Student Action Summit. But I mean, he really, really focused in and got dialed in for these for our galas that we do at Mar-a-Lago. It was an amazing, amazing weekend. And it was special. And Blake, I know you could speak to this as well. You know, this was the first time we did this without Charlie. And the response and the reaction from some of Turning Point's biggest supporters was truly remarkable. And it meant a lot to us. I know it meant a lot to Erica and the team. Everybody stepped up. Everybody chipped in and played a role and did their part. And it was great to see and really heartwarming to see, because you never know what you're going to get after something like this. But to see, you know, our friends and family, the wider Turning Point family, rally behind the organization was something to see.
It was. You had hundreds of people who'd known Charlie for years, people who'd never met Charlie, people who were motivated to come out because of the tragedy this fall, but he'd still deeply inspired them. We heard accounts. I was talking to someone who said he'd modeled his entire professional life off of following Charlie. He was much older than Charlie, but he said, you know, I worked really hard, but then when Charlie came around and said, actually, I'm doing a Sabbath now, he adopted the same thing. He said it transformed his life. And so over and over, we were meeting people whom Charlie had moved to deeper faith, to deeper involvement, deeper patriotism, deeper concern for their country. And it was really incredible to see them all come together, to remember him, to testify about him, and to continue the mission forward, onward, as Charlie would say.
Yeah, you know, so every year is a little bit different at these galas, and I will tell you two things. You kind of inspired two thoughts. One was that I couldn't get past people that would just come up to me and they would just start crying or get emotional about what Charlie had meant to them. And two, how many first timers we had, because, you know, this is an annual event. And so you get a lot of repeat people. There were so many first timers that had been moved to come and join us at Mar-a-Lago. So it was absolutely packed and a beautiful, beautiful testament. Just to Charlie, but also the work that he did, you know, building an institution that, you know, was his goal. It was his wish that it would outlive him. And we obviously thought that he was going to be, you know, 98 before that happened, but we're watching it in real time. And I can't say it enough. I'm just so proud of the team and how they stepped up. We've got lots and lots of other news, but you did mention, the book, or you mentioned Sabbath, and Charlie's book does come out this week. His last book, Stop in the Name of God. And Erica is doing media to promote Charlie's book. It is, Blake, you know this more intimately than I do. I think this is Charlie's potentially the most powerful personal book, because a lot of it was MAGA doctrine, it was the college scam, it was right-wing revolution. These were sort of heady books about policy topics or ideological topics. This is a very personal book. It's very different in that way. And, it's terribly tragic that this is the last book we have from Charlie, but in some ways, now that we know that that's the case, it's really apropos. And it's, I think it comes out this week, and we're going to be repeating that it's coming out this week on the show. And it's a powerful book. How does this book, Blake, because you were so intimately involved with Charlie's prep for these books, how does this book kind of differ tonally, and why is it important?
Well, it's as you say, it is so much more personal. When he was deciding, for example, right-wing revolution, the thought was, okay, what are the issues that matter for America? What should we speak to the most? And you'll know we debated a few different possible topics for a book, and that's what won out. Versus this was really, it was the book he personally wanted to write about his life. He wanted it as a tribute to Dennis Prager, who'd inspired him to begin practicing the Sabbath himself. And he thought it was a gift he could give to his readers, to his supporters. This is something that can directly enrich your life. There's elements of that in Right-Wing Revolution. If you read the back half of that, there's a lot of ways to improve your own personal life. But this is fully dedicated to that. It's directly inspired by his own experiences. It's by far his most personal book. I think you could maybe say The College Scam was his strongest politically related message, because he was so emphatic about you don't need to spend $100,000, $200,000 to get a degree to succeed. And he was a proof of that himself, and he wanted that message to get out. But this is the most just purely personal, and it's his most spiritual book. It's his first directly religious book, and I think that meant a lot to him as well. It was his chance to really dive into the Bible, dive into the history of the Jewish and Christian faiths, and really explore that. So it's not just that the message was very personal for him, it's also that the process of writing it was a very personal, spiritual, enjoyable endeavor for him. I think it was his refuge from a lot of annoying things that were, of course, going on in the past year.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And you don't have to be somebody of faith to get a lot out of this book. Rest is a mandate from God, certainly, but it's good for everybody. And Charles, it was
not
really
a mandate, a gift. It is a gift.
No, totally. Well said. But it really will unlock. It's something I've been in the wake of Charlie's assassination. Something I've been personally trying to practice and just to take time. I actually brought my family out to West Palm Beach and Palm Beach because I usually don't, because we got 3 little kids, so it's hard to travel. And, it's a work trip, so you get distracted. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this, and I'm going to spend some time with them. And that was a direct reaction to Charlie's instructions and his this final gift of this book. So you can get that at 45books.com. Please check it out. I just think it's such a beautiful book, and I haven't even read all of it yet, and I'm getting so much out of it. I'm learning stuff from Charlie that we talked a lot about this book, and I'm learning stuff in the book that we did not talk about. It's amazing. So the other big news of the day, however, and by the way, that book comes out tomorrow, so start shipping. So please do check it out, 45books.com. Other big news, and I'm going to go through the list here, Blake, and we're probably going to center on birthright citizenship because I think it's so huge. It's the sleeping giant of immigration. Birthright citizenship is now going to be heard by the Supreme Court, looking like oral arguments at the beginning of 2026, decision by June, most likely. You've got this EU DSA, which is Digital Services Act. They have fined Elon Musk and X $140 million. We had our gala. We've got AmFest coming up. Stop in the name of God. You got this Warner Brothers versus Paramount versus Netflix saga. We're going to bring on Jack Posobiec second half of this hour to discuss. You got the Pope weighing in on Islam. You've got the Democrats' major messaging pivot, by the way. It's like Epstein doesn't exist anymore. They're all on healthcare. They're all on drug boats. It's very interesting, but their messaging is scattered, Blake. It's scattered. It's not focused. They don't know where to go next, which is actually a good opportunity for us to advance our lines, our messaging, our positive lines. So there's all of that. But birthright citizenship, we're coming up against the break in this first segment, Blake, but really quickly, why is this so big?
It's big because it is the core element of the Great Replacement. What enables it to happen is our courts have allowed it that anyone who comes into this country illegally, as a tourist, as a guest worker, if they have a kid, 10 seconds after they cross the border, that person is a U.S. citizen for life. That is certainly not what was intended by the people who wrote the 14th Amendment. It is obviously insane in modern America, and the Trump administration is finally taking the action we should have taken decades ago to say this is not what our law has ever been. And that's very important. And we're going to
get into it in the next segment. I'm going to break down why I think it's an abomination. Wajahat Ali responded back to me forcefully last night with one of the dumber tweets I've ever seen. Anyways, really quickly, I want to tell you guys about Culture and Christianity, the Alan Jackson podcast. What makes it unique is Pastor Alan's unique biblical perspective. He takes the truth from the Bible and applies it to our everyday life, gender confusion, abortion, immigration, Doge, Trump in the White House, issues in the church, so much more. There's no topic off limits, and they take the Bible and the core principles of truth right into it. The Culture and Christianity podcast is informative and encouraging, and you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So be sure to subscribe. Now, if you want to find out more about Alan Jackson Ministries and what they're working on, you can find more at Pastor Alan Jackson and his ministry at alanjackson.com/Charlie. That's alanjackson.com/Charlie. We love those guys. They are amazing. We will be right back.